Hello, people of the world watching videos on the internet that have to do with automobiles. Welcome to this. My 1974 RA21 Toyota Celica that will soon be powered by this 2005 Toyota Tundra 2UZ VVTi V8. Ah, look, that's the Focus. Aw, man. I needed that rear coolant bridge. Why is there so much wood dust in here? That right there. That's what I need. Picking up where I last left off. Oh, jeez. Harvesting parts. Ouch! From my other junkyard 2UZ V8. This is really hard to get to. Just when I thought I lucked out and found a super clean condition original part, I discovered I was bamboozled. All that work and it's a cheap piece of crap made in elsewhere. It's not even genuine Toyota. If you're new and you'd like to get caught up on the last video where I recently just got that engine back from the engine builder again, up above is either a link to that video or also could be a step-by-step recipe for fish foot and haggis watermelon margaritas. What is even haggis? Just a quick visual inspection before I seal this up permanently. Genuine Toyota gaskets. I was so hell-bent on cleaning up my shop over the past few months that I somehow ended up throwing away the bracket for the fan. I think it's because I knew I was ditching a clutch fan in my mind, so I threw the whole thing away. So to change out these little grommets that go on your valve cover bolts, I have a trick that I devised. If we ever get to the point where we can have robots at home as assistants, I'm gonna make sure mine has vice grips for fingers. Fresh new gasket. 53 inch-pounds, that's like nothing. One. If you ever changed your valve cover gasket and had it leak, it's probably because you didn't do this part right here. Which ones look the best? Literally got like 20 of these things. Only one of them was a knockoff out of the 3 engines. So it's 3 V8s, it's 24 minus 1 junk one. I got 23 coil packs. Probably a good sign that all of these were still original coil packs on all 3 of these engines. It means they probably don't go bad that often. This is excessive. If the potential for shiny exists, one must realize that potential and make shiny. Not really a lot I can do left on the engine until I have that, so I have this. Yellow zinc JIS hardware, because all of the stuff on my custom rear end is not correct. Yeah. Alright, so perfect. Since I had to add a bunch of structural metal to the rear end where I did the subframe connectors, I had to get wider bolts, and also I wanted to get the correct type of hardware that would have came on this car from the factory. Now that actually looks correct. Obviously, because this hardware is a custom length, I couldn't get genuine Toyota bolts because it doesn't exist for this application. That scared the shit out of me. That's why I shouldn't talk and work at the same time. Because I upgraded the car's rear end to handle the additional torque from the V8, I didn't use a genuine Toyota rear end because I would not have a very wide range of options for brakes as well as rear end gearing. Downside is though, the aftermarket one used standard SAE hardware, and that's just not going to fly on a 1974 Toyota, so I went with the next best thing. Made in Japan, looks brand new again. Toyota. I want to get as much of that engine assembled as possible before I stick it into the car, with the exception of the headers, obviously, but it'll just make my life easier. So nice. Fresh bolts. Which ones do I need? I forgot I didn't have to re-zinc all of the hardware. Rear bumper, Celica. Crazy, this car is a 1974 and the hardware is in that kind of condition still. It's the next day already. I had to order a lot of parts. The holes are M10 by 1.25, or at least they used to be before they got full of powder coating. It really wasn't that hard to tap these because of the way that they were. There's actually a direction to these. I are dumb. I almost screwed up. I gotta put the chrome on first. Somewhere. There are little chrome bolts that I hopefully didn't lose. I thought I sent them with the bumper to get re-chromed, but that would mean I did something intelligent, and that doesn't happen that often. Center caps for the wheels, doodads, trim pieces. Oh yeah, these things. I need the chrome bolts. I behaved as a less than intelligent particular individual and misplaced the carriage bolts. I gotta make like crisscross and jump around. My bike fell over. Carefully. It's like a Lego. That one could have been bad. Come on, man. Why doesn't this fit? It used to fit under the car. Yeah, and the car was on the lift. That's why it fit. Go gadget metal arms. There are two types of people in the world. Those that listen in metal when they work out, and those that just occupy a piece of space in the gym. Ooh, jeez. Good thing I gotta paint the engine bay still. This would be the robot equivalent of eating a chicken wing all the way down to the bone. I don't know if that was a good analogy. There's nothing else on this thing. It is literally stripped. Thankfully, Charlie is making a trip to the junkyard, and that's exactly where this engine block is going, because it has a giant hole in the side of it from a piston. Beholden! Engine bay empty and ready to accept wiring. Which, unfortunately, I'm waiting on parts for a couple last pieces for the engine before it's all ready. Before I do that, though, there's some stuff that needs to be cleaned up in here. And also, in case you're wondering, the underside of the trunk lid, that will get sprayed when the engine bay gets sprayed. The reason why I waited and didn't do it with the rest of the car is because it's going to be finished in satin clear. What holds this thing on? Out of 4 mounting locations, it was just one tiny bolt that was holding this thing in place. That I'm going to have to fix. Pull the all-purpose cleaner. That chrome shop did a phenomenal job on these bumpers. That looks crazy good. Fresh hardware. In case you missed out on some videos, because this car is a 1974, it had bumperettes in the middle of this chrome piece, and I had them filled in and the entire thing re-chromed to replicate one of the 71, 72 quote-unquote smiley bumpers that didn't have bumperettes. That is so incredibly satisfying. The fresh chrome hardware and the fresh black powder coating of the inner bumper. Luckily, the rear bumper didn't require that much work to fill. There was only 4 holes and then some gouges where the bumperettes were sitting. But you literally cannot tell anymore. Oh, this thing is not light. I don't know. I need a second person. This is really difficult. I don't want to scratch anything. I guess I'll just use this spool as my second person. As sketchy as this may look, I assure you, zero paint was scuffed, scratched, or marred in any way, shape, or form mounting this bumper. Got one started. I might look like an idiot, but I'm only partially an idiot. That sucked. That was a huge pain. I've never been a fan of chrome, but this completes it. It's like the icing on the cake back here. You can go ahead and say that this is excessive, putting on a paint suit to do this, but you've also probably never had an allergic reaction to this stuff and it's miserable. Don't take any chances. While Toyota did not give any form of an interior panel to protect the inside of the fender wells, these were rubber coated from the factory. You can kind of see it now that there's some paint applied to it. It has a texture. Well, that was their form of keeping it protected from stuff rolling around in your trunk. Even though there is absolutely zero corrosion on this car, I'm still treating it with a corrosion preventative compound, so that way it'll protect it in the future, just to be extra careful. That's much better. It's still all the original paint inside the trunk area. And then the areas that had heavy bodywork over this car's life, that is just all mattified black. And for those of you that are sad that I didn't have the car chemical dipped on a rotisserie and stripped to bare metal everywhere and made perfect, I apologize for not being a millionaire and having a team of 40 people off camera to do that type of stuff. More parts. Do not stack. Stickers, invoice. So a bit of a design oversight of these cars when they were new is inside the trunk there was nothing protecting the inner fender well from getting dented outward from stuff rolling around in your trunk. So I ordered these guys. They're a set of sheet metal inner panels made out of aluminum, I think, and they're texture coated black. Hence why I did black in this corner. That was close. I almost threw the hardware away. It's taped to the side of the paper. How in the C+ geometry student are you supposed to do this? I guess I gotta take the taillight out. There we go. Heavy. No, not really. Marker lights. can't put these in just yet. I think I can already see a potential issue with these I'm gonna have to address. That's gonna be a rattly disaster. I don't know if I like that. I hate that I'm a perfectionist. I'm gonna have to modify these. I have a solution. I have a solution. Okay, this is the bottom. So that. This is actually the same practice that is done on almost all new vehicles, especially on interior panels, because they'll squeak and rattle when you go over bumps. So there is adhesive foam on the backs of them to prevent this from happening. Anti-vibration dampening solution. Let's see how much that makes a difference. That's much better. I just gotta hard mount it now. This is why I chose a one owner, super clean car to do this project with, because this is the original genuine Toyota rubber trunk mat. This thing had all the original parts on it still, nothing was missing. These are the little things that will nickel and dime you to death when you're restoring a vehicle. All-purpose cleaner. Obviously, you knew this part was coming. It's unavoidable. Okay. Oh, this thing is textured. Well, in that case, if it's textured, I gotta froth it all up. Yeah, you can see all the dirt that it's coming off of it. This, unfortunately, is the side that faces down that you don't see. The difficult side to clean faces up. The stuff dries mattified, so I can just shake it to air it out and see. I don't know if it's gonna clean this side. This is really bad. Let me do a test area. Does it clean it? This is a super weird material. It's almost like a woven fabric, but the back is rubber. Luckily, this is still not the topmost layer. Carpeting goes above this, but carpet cleaner. You can't sandwich something dirty with something clean. That doesn't make one dirty thing and one clean thing. That makes two dirty things, because clean math. Also, whatever this fabric is made out of, it is emanating an odor of a nursing home in the 1990s. Very specific. This is after about an hour of sitting in the sun drying, and it looks even better. Now that isn't the only thing that goes in the trunk, because when I had all the carpet made for the inside of the car, I also had a custom fit trunk carpet done as well. And for those of you that live across the pond, that would be a sock. Some of you got that. Whilst the mat is drying out, I just want to make sure this thing even fits, because I haven't even tested it yet. Case in point with anything aftermarket, there's a little bit of a fitment issue. The carpet's gonna roll up against these inner panels, but that's better than having a dent on the side of your fender. The fuel tank cover, however, that needs some carpentry. Back onto the engine situation, I super lucked out by the fact that the line locations for the heater core on the RA chassis are pretty much right where they are on the back of the UZ block, with an exception. Due to sizing constraints, this piece will not work. However, this one off a slightly older 2UZ will work. Yeah, I like it, but I need to modify it because there's no provision for this guy. There's a hard pipe that goes under the intake manifold from where the thermostat is in the front of the block to the rear for the heater core. So on the Celica, both of the pipes that go through the firewall are right here on this side. Normally this would bolt right here and then it would send coolant up to this side. But I wonder... Back again. It is different. Sweet. I'm so glad I came over here and checked this. I had a funny suspicion that this pipe was different. This will be way easier. Now I just gotta yank this thing out of there without injuring myself. Got it. I'm dumb. This was down on the ground on the side of the engine, and I went and bought an extra one. I didn't need it. Additionally, because this is a non-VVTi 2UZ, I found a cable throttle body. Problem is, it's a different bolt pattern than my 3UZ intake manifold. So, instead of using this one, well, this one's got the O-ring on it still. And then that will sit just like that. I don't need to drill a hole into this little back plate and that pipe. I don't think I can bend this because it gets work hardened and it might just crack or fold over. But if it went and followed this parallel, maybe if I cut it and welded it, it's stainless. And then I could just put the hose on right here and then cut this one down short. And then I can put a hose that goes right here to the firewall. And then this one, a hose will go right here to the firewall. Also, I have this to solve the front solution. This looks like an old alternator starter box. Never-ending paper. Sweet. Because I swapped over the entire front suspension to that of a Toyota AE86 with a manual steering rack to keep manual steering in the car as it should be, this is going to allow me to do so. Because what it is mocking a power steering pump. The power steering pump would mount right here, and since I don't need it anymore, I'll still be able to run the same belt. So glad I put all that effort into cleaning up this mounting location. Man, I'm bummed out. I worked so hard to clean this thing up. That one had like 2 threads. That goes facing up. This must get cleaned. Much cleaner. Man, that brightened up nice. It's literally almost the same color as that now. Yeah, that's longer. Yep, that'll work. Replace these with some genuine Toyota bolts. No, those aren't long enough, so I'm gonna use a longer bolt on that side. They're not Toyota, but they're... Oh, I might have some Toyota bolts in here. Yeah, I think these are Toyota. These are not Toyota bolts, but they are JIS hardware, so it's the same size head. So that's acceptable, and it's long enough to go all the way in. That lines up absolutely perfect. Sweet. This, perfect. Reverse thread, I forgot. So now, I should have the right size pulley. Oh, it's held in with a snap ring. Perfect. I have this pulley in the box. Sweet. It might have seemed like not a lot of progress was made in this video, but that's because this isn't TV. This is real life. But a lot of progress was actually made. As long as the mail is delivered on time, the next video I should be able to drop the engine into the car and get it off that sketchy engine stand, and then I'll be able to start running the wiring where I want the harness to be, plugging into sensors, and I'm super close to actually having this thing technically startable, with the exception of I gotta figure out the throttle body situation and I have to figure out the radiator plumbing situation, but I kind of have that figured out. So yeah, fingers crossed everything arrives in the mail in time. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.